Buenos días, mi gente. Welcome to La Primera Vez. I'm your host, Christina Reid, and this is the digital talk show where you get to find out about your favorite Latinx celebrities. Today, we are joined by Julio Macias. So welcome, Julio. Thank you so
Hola.
much for coming. We are the biggest fans of you over here at Latina. You've had like the best breakout of the last few years. So we're just
Cool.
we're obsessed. We can't wait to see what you will do next. The premise of this show is really to get to know you and understand those first cultural milestones, those big defining moments that help shape who you are today and, put you on this career path. So we're going to take you back to the beginning. Can you tell us about where you grew up, what that was like, what you loved about it? We want to hear it all.
Yeah, so I was born in Mexico City, and I lived there for most of my life. I grew up there with my mom and my dad and my sister. And around 8-9 years old, so mid 90s, it started getting complicated in Mexico City. And for safety reasons, my dad was really adamant that we moved to the United States. My mom was like, "Mis hijos nacieron en México y van a morir en México." She's just like, very patriotic that way. But she said, for the safety of my kids, she always had this interesting thing. Everyone moves to the United States for a better life, and she always had this romanticized idea of like, why can't we stay in our own countries and make them better? And it's interesting, right now on the fourth season of On My Block, we're talking about code switching and where does that come from? And because I moved from Mexico to Los Angeles, my family eventually moved to Miami, and I moved back to Los Angeles, spent some time in New York City. If I'm speaking in Spanish, if I'm talking to someone from Yucatan, it's different than if I'm talking to someone from Mexico City. It's different if I'm talking to someone from TJ, and it feels the same in English. So it's weird that I have all of these authentic voices, but they are distinct and different with their own accents and flavors.
Growing up, I was super on the way that I spoke because the way that I spoke at home was completely different from how anybody at school was talking. So it's kind of like you get into the survival mode where before you even get a chance to even be picked on, you're like, I'm not even gonna let you guys get the chance. Like, no way.
Yeah. I wasn't like ashamed of being Mexican. I love mariachi music, but it was always like this secondary thing where I wanted to prove to other people that before being Mexican, I'm a person and this and that. And that became so prevalent that over the years, it did become a little bit of like hiding it a little bit more than I would or I do now. Before it was like, I don't want to get stuck stereotype playing all of these like either gangbangers or like Mexicans or this or that. Out the gate, these two roles, I'm a much better person for embracing these roles,
At what point in this growing up phase did you realize that entertainment was something that you wanted to focus on?
So I grew up around voice actors. Going into these booths and watching Mexican voice actors give new life to shows that were already prolific, Friends and Will and Grace, and then movies like, I think they did Armageddon. And I had an idea that you could be a working artist. It was never this like, people make money off of that. No, I knew that people make money off of that. And I always liked to entertain and this and that, la la la. But it wasn't until high school when I was like, what are you going to do? Like, you're a good student. You wanted to be a zoologist, but then you kind of like really would have had to like really focus in on that in like middle school and be like, I'm going to do that. Right. So it was like two options, either like go into the family business, which, fantastic, or, try this little passion. I was like, well, I know that you can do it. So let's give it a shot. Why not, So eventually my business partner, he just like pushed me to audition more. And he's like, yeah, you're going to start off doing crap and, little commercials here or there, but you're going to, earn your bearings. You're going to be better. So I started doing that and commercial here.
What was the first gig that you got? Do you remember?
first gig I booked was a Kyocera commercial for a cell phone company. Yeah, and I was a rustler. And I'm really bad at playing sexy. Like people have this swagger with them, right? If people find Oscar or Spooky attractive, it might be the way that the camera's capturing, but that's not my personal intention of what I'm like going for, right?
I'm gonna stop you right there. I can envision the comments right now. They're gonna say, if people they're gonna revolt in the comments. They're not gonna agree with you on that one for sure.
Yeah. Hey, thank you, by the way, for keep watching. But that director, if you can find him, will attest to that, because he was just like, Julio, just like, just do your thing. And I was like, cool, Kyocera. And they're like, no, come on, like, do your thing. Like, we got through the shoot, but I remember the director being very disappointed by my casting. And then from there, I started booking a lot in Spanish. Because then that was something else that I did. I was like, I don't want to audition anything in Spanish, just because like I speak pretty fluent Spanish, and I know that if I started doing that, I would start booking more. People are like, dude, why wouldn't you want to book again? Because I didn't want to be like put in that little box. It's like, oh, he speaks Spanish, great, let's just cast him in all the commercials and give him no other opportunity, right? But I went in for it. I decided, and again, it was practice. I call my mom almost every single day and being like, yo, thank you for pushing me to continue to speak Spanish as often and as fluently as you like forced me and my sister to do it. Yep. Because now I'm very grateful for the Spanish that I have. And when I talk to other friends who are bilingual, they're like, Julio, your Spanish is so pretty. And I'm like, it's my mom. Talk to my mom.
We owe it all to our moms. I mean, there was a time where growing up, I was like, you can pay me to speak Spanish. I was like, I don't want to do it anymore. And now I'm like, I need to read. I need to listen to everything to make sure I'm sticking with it, or else who knows what will come of me.
Nobody. And I started reading books for that exact reason. Like I wanted to expand my vocabulary in Spanish the same way that I have it in English. And when I would listen to podcasts or music or this or that, it's all great, but it's very colloquial, And so you're just picking up like little phrases here and there. When you sit down and read something, you're like, you gotta put some effort into that.
I'm sure. I know Mexican slang is so distinct. I'm Dominican, so just the way that Dominican speak is so freaking just out there. I'm like, half the times, like, when I was in Mexico, like a few years back, I'm like, first of all, they knew already that I was Dominican just from the way that I was speaking, but there was like a little bit of a language barrier there too, because, there are so many like colloquialisms and different things that just don't necessarily, cross and mesh.
Yeah. Jason is Dominican. He plays Ruby on my blog. And yeah, we'll be having full conversations in Spanish and like sprinkled with ¿qué? Okay. Oh, that's what that means. The other day he was like, I said Yahweh, and he's like, what's Yahweh? And I said, way is like dude, and he's like, what's yeah? And I'm like, just yeah. He's like, oh, like yeah, and I was like, Yahweh, yes, or that's it, dude. And I was like, he thought it was like me saying Yahweh, like God. Like
no. The Dominican translation of that would be like, oye loco. That would be that.
Yeah.
You gotta say it to him in his terms. Otherwise, we're gonna get nowhere.
I'm learning que lo que.
Que lo que, tato, plátano. Those are really the only words you need to know if you're Dominican.
Instead of ¿qué estás haciendo? Es ¿qué tú haces?
Right.
Just,
shortcuts with it. We want to say the words as quickly as possible. If that means removing the letter S from the vocabulary, then so be it.
No problem. Yeah, and Mexican, from Mexico City specifically, is so dense with like super fast, and you want to use as many words as you can in the sentence, So it's like,
You got me. But yeah. I mean, this is just going off of the topic of dubbing, and we're talking about languages. You talked about your dad, you talked about your grandfather. But aside from them, who are those inspirational figures who you look to kind of guide you on this path?
It never crossed my mind that I couldn't do it. However, now that I'm in it, and the amount of people that come up to me and say, I'm gonna try this because of you, like, you know, I see myself represented in this character or this thing that you do, this. Now, being that representation for people, it shows how important it is, but also how little of that I had growing up. Even though it didn't affect me and it never like necessarily pushed me personally forward to like, no, we need to have more. It was just like, oh, there's nobody there, I guess I could do it. You know, we hear a lot of things about like, oh, this set is so diverse, and then you show up on set and everyone on set is Latino. It is diverse, but it's also not. You know, it's suddenly now its own little clique. You know, it's not inclusive. It's just now it's a bunch of Latinos, which is great, and let's keep doing that because that's what we need. But can we have a show where it is truly multicultural and multicolored? You know, can we write something where the main character can be white and it doesn't feel off balance because everything else, you know, is real and it works, you know?
And then show us your writers' rooms while you're at it, and show us your days and crafties. We want to see it all. We don't want it to just be, you know, diverse in one sector where it's, you know, public facing and not in anywhere else because
it shows.
And then transitioning to, you know, we kind of touched on this, but I would love to hear about your transformation into your characters, into Spooky and into Pete. There are big transformations. Hair is different. The way you look is different. The way you speak is different. Are there any, in those transformations, are there any ways that you're able to infuse a little bit of who you are in that? Or is it a complete, like?
A lot of actors work in out, you know, their emotions, and then however that represents outside, that's fine. I like the show of it, so I put on the clothes, I throw on the accent, even though at first it sounds fake. I work it till it sounds real, till it's real to me. So like Oscar, you know, when they said Spooky, I never considered myself an intimidating person. So I'm tall, and I've been in a couple of fights where people just like didn't want to fight me because of my reach or my, you know, so I was like, okay, let me work out. Let me get as big as I could, you know, from that time. So putting on that weight helped me feel spooky. I don't improvise at all with Spooky. I don't add a single comma. I try to make it as word perfect, because I don't want to say anything stupid or dumb. And, you know, I think we put a lot of love and effort into crafting not only the show, but also that character. But for me, I wanted to be as authentic to these communities and do a job that no one would be like, oh, he's just pretending to be hard at this. Like, bring more humanity into it in the sense of like, I can identify with that. I can identify with that struggle. And for Pete, I was able to be a little bit more me. The first line of the show where I walk up to Selena and I'm like, ladies, 20 takes, easy. It made me cringe. but so like that part is in me, but like keeping the energy going and like, you know, dancing and moving and being the sarcastic hype man, that's something I'm comfortable with, right? So for when I read these scripts, I'm like, all right, Pete's there to keep the party going, to support Selena and to like make some beautiful duets with her, right? Let's get it. Let's do this. It's gonna be easy breezy. I show up on set like, I can sing, I could do this. I'm 2 feet taller than the actual Pete. Like, great, let's do this. And they're like, oh, Pete's actually a phenomenal dancer. I was like, so am I. No. They put on the music. They're like, I think you need classes.
Wow. To go and saying I'm a good dancer and then they tell you you need classes, there's nothing that'll quite humble you like that. Yeah.
So I was like, cool. But you know, it gave me homework. I'm one of those people that likes to work. And so when things come easy, I'm like, my head's on a swivel because I'm like, something's about to happen because that was too easy. Like so having to be drilling cumbia steps, you know, like in the bathroom, in the shop, in line for shopping, you know, and then when COVID hit, like just in my house, just cumbia, so that when I got up there, you know, Christian, she just moves around the stage flawlessly with no effort. And so I'm just trying to like keep up with her, you know. That was fun. So like I didn't do much quote unquote like acting prep or anything like that for Pete, but all of the dancing really kept me grounded and connected to the band.
That's amazing. And now, you know, wherever you need to go, you can just bust out those moves. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You got this.
Yeah, where's that wedding at? Let's go.
Let's go, everybody. He's got some moves, please.
I know how to cumbia now. Are you kidding me?
Cumbia, cumbia, cumbia. Just like that. Well, I mean, it's refreshing to hear that you're always just looking for knowledge, wanting to teach yourself, and, you know, in turn, teaching others. So as you take on these future projects, you know, whether they're personal projects or, you know, new acting gigs, what do you want your fans to get out of those, you know, future projects, whether you know what they are or not?
Proud. Unapologetically proud of seeing another someone that I identify with, and he's like, oh, I can like mariachi music and skateboarding and, you know, whatever it is. Like I don't have to fall into the little box that my friends are telling me, or even that my primos on the other side are telling me that I gotta be, you know.
We're not a monolith. We're allowed to like and do different things. So
yeah.
Remind somebody about that, then that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm working on you know, I play music, but that's just really for me. And I started playing this song that sounded like an Irish drinking song, and then the chorus ended up being extranjero en dos países, ni de aquí ni de allá, you know. And I was like, and it was sad, and like I translated it to my wife, and she's like, oh my God, that's so sad. Are you okay? Do you need to talk to somebody? And I was like, no, but it, like, the way that I'm singing it, it's like I'm owning it. Like, you know what? You're right. I'm not from here and I'm not from there. I'm somewhere in between, and that's just who I am, you know?
Right. And that's something that everybody can relate to. That's something that we started our conversation talking about, being away from home, but feeling like you're home, being that stranger to two different groups. It's something that we all know and can relate to. So the way you captured it poetically, we love that.
So.
Love that. Well, we're about to wrap up, and I like to end on this one question because I love hearing everybody's individual takes on this, especially knowing that you have this big, beautiful career ahead of you. But so far,
from your lips to wherever,
manifesting it. We know it, we see it. But just, you know, from so far, have you had any full circle moments that have made this career in entertainment, this path, completely worth it? It could be something small, it could be something big, but just any full circle moments that made you think, yeah, this is where I'm meant to be, and I'm doing it.
For me, it's arriving on set. Those are the moments where it feels interesting, you know, when I drive onto the, say, Warner lot or the Paramount lot, or where we were filming Selena, which was in Rosarito, where they shot Titanic. Growing up in LA, my favorite place to go to was Universal Studios, and not for any of the rides. I loved the back tour, the back lot tour. It was like I could just go on that over and over and over again. Leave me there, Mom. Like you'll find me here at 5 o'clock. For me, when I go on set for something that I'm working on, and I'm driving behind the sets, between the stages, the gutters between the stages, and I'm walking through, and I'm like, yo, I'm here to work. Like, I'm not just a bystander, I'm here to work. And I know, like, it's not the lights, it's not the camera, it's not the adoration, it's the fact that I'm on set, and like I'm here to work. Like, this is where I go, this is my job, you know. And it never really feels like that, even though I treat it as such. I treat it as hard work.
We're Universal, if you're watching this, we need to get Julio on one of the trams one day. We need to give him a shot just to operate, and do his
NBC, if you want to do like a little thing where I'm the tour guide, like, let's go.
Okay, I'm with you on that. I will start that petition as long as I get to be on one of the seats. Just cool. That's something I can start a petition for sure.
Let's do it.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you, Julio, for being amazing, sharing all of these gems with us. And we're so excited to see the latest season of On My Block. We're excited to see everything else that you're working on. Please let us know where the fans can follow you and anything that we should be aware of coming up.
You can follow me at a Julio Macias on both Twitter and Instagram. And season 4 On My Block filming right now. We are, deep in it right now. And Selena season 2 comes out this upcoming month, I believe.
Amazing. We're so excited to see it. Thank you so much for being a part of La Primera Vez. We're the biggest fans.
All right. Thank you guys.
Ciao.